Welcome to programming knowledge. So the next thing that we will study in Dart is loops. So basically there are 5 types of loop. The first loop is for loop. So the syntax of for loop is very much same as in other programming languages. We have the keyword for, and then we create a variable where I is equal to 0, that is initializing a variable, then setting the range I is less than n, and then increment or decrement, and then inside this we write the code that we want to execute. So for right now I will be printing programming knowledge, and now if I click on run, programming knowledge should be printed 10 times. So you can see it has been printed 10 times. So this is how we use for loop. Another possible way to use for loop is setting this value to 10 and checking that I is greater than 0, and instead of incrementing, decrementing the operators. And now if I run this code, the output will be exactly same. So these are the two methods in which we can use for loop. The next type of loop is called for in loop. So I'll just remove this. So for in loop is basically used in collections. We will study about collections later in this course, but for now I'll just create a list and store 1, 2, 3 in it. List is a type of collection that stores more than one values under the same name. And now to run, I'll write for where x is a variable that I have created in no. That means x will have 1, 2, 3 every time the loop runs. So now if I print x, 1, 2, 3 should be printed. So you can see the output is 1, 2, 3. Now the next type of loop is for each loop. For each loop is also used on collections. So just for example, I'll write no, that is the variable that we have created, dot for each, that is a method, and inside that it returns n, that is each value inside the no list, and then it should perform some tasks. So to write which task to perform, we first give an equal to, then a right arrow, and then we write the statement print n in this case. So now if I click on run, 1, 2, 3 should again be the output. Now suppose we want to call another function, so for that I'll write void print num. It takes a value num and then prints it to the console. So now instead of this print statement, I'll replace it with my method name, that is print num, and it takes a value num which is nothing else than n. So now if I try to run this, I'll get the same output. Now the next type of loop is while loop. So for that I don't need this function. Now I'll create a variable, integer type variable num, and initialize it to 5. And now I want to run a loop while num is greater than 0. So to run a while loop, the keyword is while, and now over here I'll just simply print the number and then decrement the number by 1. And now if I run the loop, I'll get the output 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is how we use a while loop. Now the next type of loop is do while loop. So for do while, we first write do, and then inside that the code that every time the condition is true should be executed. So I'll just print the number, then num minus minus, and then after do we have while num greater than 0, and now if we run the code we will get the same output. Now the benefit of do while over while is that even if the condition is true, even if the condition is false, the loop gets executed once. Suppose the condition is, suppose the number is -1, that is already less than 0. So now if I run, the loop will get at least executed once. So the output is -1. But if we use while instead of do while, this will not get executed. Now if I click on run, the console will be empty. So this is the difference between while and do while. Now another thing that is important while studying loops is break and continue. We have seen break in switch cases, and now we will see that in a more elaborate way. The basic concept of break is that wherever break statement is executed, the control comes out of the loop. So suppose I have number 10 and I want to print only till 5, but my while loop has the condition till checks till 0. So what I'll basically do is I'll check if num is equal to 5, then break, and the print statement will also be there, and the decrement statement also. So now if I click on run, it should only print till 6, I guess. Yes. So you can see the output only till 6 is printed, because as soon as num value became 5, this condition became true and break was executed. So as soon as break was executed, it came out of the loop. So that was about loops. I hope everything was clear. Thank you.